When you woke up this morning and you opened your eyes and you rolled over and your feet hit the floor, were you starting this day to play your game of life, not to lose? Or this morning, when you woke up and you rolled over, your feet hit the floor, were you starting this day to play your game of life to win? Turin, Italy, the Winter Olympics. Our women's hockey team won the gold medal. They outscored their competition 48-0. Pundits like our friend Don Cherry said it was unsportsmanlike and it wasn't right to run the score up. Here's what I know. The year before the ladies went to Turin, Italy, they got together in a team meeting and they met and they decided they were all going to move to Calgary. They were going to practice and win the gold medal in Turin. So they all moved to Calgary. They got jobs at places like Home Depot and Tim Hortons where they could work part-time. They joined a men's midget hockey league and finished their season with a .500 record. By the time the ladies got off the plane in Turin, Italy, they knew they were going to win gold medal. And they did. Because they played their game of life, their game of hockey, to win. Carey Mullen is a downhill skier, Canadian, Olympic, and world champion. Carey still owns the downhill record at 95 miles an hour at Kitzbühel, Austria, on a pair of boards. Had the honor of seeing Carey several years ago, and he talked about that day when he set the record. And you need to understand, as a skier, you get into the crouch position in Kitzbühel, and you look through your boards and look down the hill at a 53-degree angle, a chapel of a church down at the bottom the size of a Tinker Toy. And what they don't tell you is the night before any of those downhill races in Austria, the Austrian fire department thinks it's kind of fun to go out with the hoses, and they hose down the entire hill with water. And then at the corners, just to help out a bit, so when you're coming around the corners at 80 miles an hour, they have this device, it's a plate of metal like this, and they ratchet out around the corners so that when they come around, you hear that. That's their skis catching where the Austrian fire department has ratcheted the ice for them. And so Carey tells about being in this crouch position going, and I'm just going to push off. The day he set the record, it was foggy and it was raining. 6 skiers went down the hill before Carey, and 6 of them got taken off the hill in helicopters due to their injuries. Up at the top, they didn't know this was happening, and the word on the top was, what's with all the helicopters? The story that got fed was, it's really foggy out now with the mist. We're bringing the helicopters in to try and raise the fog so you guys can see the hill. He talks about the skier in front of him in the crouch ready to go. They started the countdown. Halfway through his countdown, he leans over and gets sick to his stomach. They start the count again. Halfway through that count, he stands up and he says, I'm not doing this today, and stepped off the hill. Carey got up, crouched, took off, and set his record. When he finished his skiing career, he went out on the speaking circuit. About the second time he went out, one of his teammates from his skiing days came up to him and said, you need to tell my story. Carey goes, what do you mean? He said, you need to tell my story. That day on the hill, there were 2 skiers that didn't complete their runs. I was the second one. He said, you need to understand that you've fallen and hurt yourself many times over the years, and you've healed, and you're back still skiing, and skiing competitively. He said Todd Brooker, and they showed the Todd Brooker film that day when he fell and hurt himself, and Todd Brooker that day when he fell broke every major bone in his body, and it's an awful fall to watch. He's just like a rag doll going down the hill, and when he finally finishes at the bottom and stops, you know it's serious. And his friend looks at him and said, and Todd Brooker has healed. And while he doesn't ski competitively, Todd Brooker still skis. You need to understand that the injuries I received on that hill that day I walked off may never heal. See, that morning when he got up, he decided to play his game of life, not to lose, and he did. There's a young man in Rochester, New York, by the name of Jason McElway. Jason is autistic. Jason went to high school at Greek Athena High School in Rochester, New York, and for 4 years was the manager of the men's basketball team. He got towels. He did all the work he needed around them. He worked with them in many times and was one of their biggest supporters. In his senior year, the last basketball game of the season, the coach decided to dress Jason to get the feel of what it would be like to be on the bench. Jason dressed and was one of the most excited players that day on the court. And 4 minutes left in the game, the coach put Jason in. Jason was all excited, got out onto the court, and he gets down, gets out to the corner, and throws up this shot, complete air ball. And the crowd goes, ah. Comes back down the court a second later, gets the ball, shoots, swish, 2 points. They started feeding Jason in the last 3 minutes of the basketball game, and Jason went on to score 20 points in 3 minutes. More importantly, on the buzzer from the corner, launched a three-pointer that at the horn went swish. The place erupted. They went crazy, and Jason got treated like a world champion, because he was. See, each day that he was in high school, Jason got up to start his day, to play his game of life to win, and to help that basketball team. And he did. So I ask everybody as we're moving forward, how do we start our day? What happened to the economy in October? How are we getting up each morning right now and playing our sales game, our game of life? So what I want to do for the next 3 hours is really take some time and go through what are we doing out there? How are we playing this sales game? The reality is, coming into this economy, there's no real secrets to it. It's really back to basics. And that's what I want to talk about over the next couple of hours with everyone.